Hey everyone, this is Eric B. Horn, and welcome to another session of the Career Clarity Virtual Summit. As always, I hope you, looking at these videos, you gain a lot of value and gained a lot of information that you can use right now in your career. And this session isn't any different. Specifically, the gist of this session is working with recruiters, or more importantly, common mistakes people make when working with a recruiter. Now, this session is specifically for all of my job seekers out there. Now, a recruiter has always been an intricate tool or of individuals that can help bridge you from an employer to actually finding the right talent, right? So it's a highly accessible tool, and it's a highly strategic tool that you can use. But there you have a lot of people who say that they want a job and they're sick and tired of going through this process by themselves, and they take on a recruiter, but they may not know how to maximize the overall relationship. And let me just use that as the first takeaway. Working with a recruiter is a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not just a one-sided piece. I know this from experience because I've coached a lot of people and I forward them to a recruiter, and they all gave me all types of horror stories saying that the recruiter really didn't do their job. But after digging into it, the actual job seeker didn't do their job while they were working with the recruiter. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on today is some of the common mistakes that job seekers do, but they may not be aware of when it comes to working with a recruiter. And based off of that, I couldn't think of a better professional and a better person in the recruiting field to talk about this as Sherita Green. Now, let me just give you a quick bio of Sherita Green, and then we'll actually go into the overall session because I didn't want to take up too much time. But Sherita Green is the Senior Resource Manager of Solving IT. She's dedicated to delivering technology solutions to her clients by specializing in attracting and retaining outside IT talent for project-based solutions, contract positions, and direct hire careers. So based off of her career, she's seen it all and done it all when it came to working with recruiters. So without further ado, Sherita, how are things? How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Eric?
I'm doing well. I'm excited because I have so many people say that they want to work with a recruiter, but they don't know how. So this will be a great subject to work on. I am definitely excited about this topic. There are so many job seekers out there who want to work with a recruiter, but they don't know how, or they've gone through that process and they failed miserably. So I'm know for a fact that my audience will definitely want to hear your expertise when it comes to the world of recruiting. But even though I read your bio, one thing that I've done during this session is I want to hear who the actual expert or subject matter expert is in their own words. So even before we get into the topic of recruiting and some common pitfalls that job seekers make when it comes to recruiting, overall, who is Sherita Green?
All right. I am a senior resource manager. I've been at Solving IT for the past, I think, almost 7 years now. It'll be 7 years in October. I'm originally from the suburbs of Detroit, but I moved to Chicago in 2003.
Nice.
And I've been in recruiting for over 10 years now. And my main focus is IT related positions.
And with being in IT, because I came from an IT background, it's definitely skill-based. But when it comes to actually communicating with people and building relationships, specifically people in the IT world, they really don't do that until they are desperately trying to find a job. But one of the things that, I had to learn, it's a work in progress when you are working with a recruiter, because like we talked about at the beginning of the session, it's a relationship, and, it's mutually beneficial, and both parties need to put in work. To be, specific, the job seeker needs to put in more work than the actual recruiter, because the recruiter is giving or letting the job seeker know about certain opportunities, but it's the job seeker's job, so to speak, to follow up, to, you know, let them know that they are interested in the position, do the back work and things of that nature. So, but you have a lot of people just think that, okay, I have a recruiter now and they can do all the work, which is a total misconception. But even before we go into the common mistakes, overall, how did you fall into the world of recruiting?
Well, that's me. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology from Michigan State, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career. I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't really want to become a traditional counselor. So I had some family that lived in Chicago. I wanted to move out of Michigan, so I thought my best bet would be to look for jobs in Chicago.
Right.
And that's what I did. I ran across an ad for a recruiter position at a small staffing firm, and it really appealed to me because it involved talking to people, working with people, and helping them find a job. And that's how I fell into recruiting.
Okay, and I love the piece that people need to hear, that you want to help, right? I mean, in this day and age, you have so many people that they say they want to help people when it comes to their overall job, but they really don't drill down to it. But in recruiting, you are, it's a segue into helping people, but more importantly, you're doing what you love to do. Or I tell people what they really, really, really like to do if they stop loving it, which is great. So, you know, now my audience has an understanding of who you are and how you fell into the world of recruiting. So now I would want to get into some of the mistakes that people make. And I think that's the biggest reason why people are tuning into this session, because it seems like there's a massive amount of mistakes people may make when it comes to working with a recruiter, but they may not know that they're actually doing it, right? So based off of your expertise, what are some of the common expectations you as a recruiter are looking for when you want to work with a job seeker?
Yeah, that's a good. Well, I want to start by saying you kind of already touched on this, but I know there are plenty of job seekers out there that have not had the best experience with recruiters. But like with any profession, you're going to have bad recruiters, you're going to have good recruiters, great recruiters, and so-so recruiters. So again, I just wanted to preface that and say that while I know some job seekers haven't had the best experience, I would hope they wouldn't carry those negative experiences with any new recruiter that they work with. Having said that, one of my main expectations when speaking with job seekers is honesty. I know it sounds really simple, but it's really important. I would expect honesty from any job seeker I speak to, and I would hope they should expect that same thing from me. So if I talk to a job seeker about their job search, I would want them to be honest about, you know, what they're looking for and how far along the process they are with their interviewing.
Right.
It helps me set expectations with the client to keep the process moving along at a pace that will allow the job seeker to consider all opportunities. I would also expect them to be honest about their skills. I would hate to talk to a candidate, they tell me that they have this, this, and that. I submit them to a job, they get an interview, and the client finds out they have no experience whatsoever with the things that they told me they had experience with. Right. It just makes it a bad experience for everyone involved. It makes you look bad, it makes me look bad, all parties involved, it makes it look bad. I guess another expectation I would have is, again, very simple, but very important, being responsive and being timely in your response. If I contact a job seeker about an interview, I would really expect them to get back to me within 20, some type of emergency where they can't get back right away. But there's so many different ways you can communicate with people nowadays, not just a phone call, you have text, email. I would just expect them to get back to me within 24 hours. Because if I have an interview for them and they don't get back to me, it makes me think they're not really interested in the position. And it also makes the client think they're not interested in the position. So those are the two things, I guess, honesty and being timely with their responses.
Seems like it's simple, but like you said, they're so powerful. And if you think about it, those two traits boil down to, once again, having some sort of relationship with someone. Because, like I said, if you, especially with IT, even though this session is more geared towards from a general perspective, but if we just drill down with IT, you have to have specific skill sets to fill certain positions, right? And these skill sets, this is exactly what, like you said, the client is looking for. So be open and honest. It's okay if you do not have this particular skill set, but to your point, it's not okay to say you have these skill sets and you put yourself in a position where you are putting your word, your company, your position, your reputation when it comes to this client on the line, saying, hey, I have the perfect candidate for you because they have X, Y, and Z, right? But it gets to the point where when you hear back directly from the client, who already has expectations of you saying you're going to do what you're going to do, that this person he or she didn't fit the bill because they don't have that experience at all, because the trust is blown, because that person basically lied to you, right? And it's very hard nowadays to trust someone when they lie. I mean, once again, it's very, very simple. So, to my audience, once again, be honest and be, like you said, receptive. They call or if they email, or better yet, based off of, the best preference that the recruiter has, go with that, because you have some recruiters that they prefer talking on the phone. You have some recruiters that talk via email. I even know some recruiters who use social media because it's so fast paced, but whatever the best way that the recruiter communicates, shift your approach and contact him or her in that manner. You'll get a faster response and it'll be a lot easier. Once again, job seekers, and this was a reality check for me when it came to working with a recruiter, it's not about me. It's about making sure that I give the recruiter any and everything that they need to make their job a lot easier. And just based off of my experience, and I'm pretty sure you can agree with me, if you make someone's job a lot easier, they're going to push a lot harder for you because they know that you are professional, you're responsive, you're honest, which are, like you said, they're so simple, but these are so, powerful traits that some people don't understand, or they may be not doing it and not know. So it's good to hear from you being the expert that this is what I'm expecting, right? So to segue into, which is a great segue into the next question, right? So we kind of touched on the things that people need to do, right? But I really want to drill down more on, based off of your experience. You don't have to give any names because I can understand the whole confidentiality piece, right? But based off of your experience, what are some of the mistakes job seekers have made when working with a recruiter that stands out to the point where you think, okay, I can't believe that just happened, but it did happen, because my audience needs to know, some of the things that you see on a regular basis that totally knocks a person out of the ranking when it comes to working with a recruiter.
Yeah, I think there are a lot. I can only pick a few, but I think I have some good ones. The first one, it goes back to being honest. Unfortunately, job seekers just aren't honest with their recruiter. If I talk to you about a position that doesn't interest you, or you don't want that to be where you want to go in your career, it's okay to tell me you're not interested. I'm not going to be offended. I'm here to help you find a job. Right. So that's completely fine. Just let me know, because I don't want to, continue to send you the same type of job over and over again and waste your time.
Right.
So again, yeah, just be honest with what you're looking for. Like I already said, be honest about your skills and experience. Another one that I feel like a lot of job seekers don't realize is double submissions. So a lot of times job seekers won't tell, or forget to tell, or don't know where their resume has already been submitted. So if I go to submit that resume to a client, I might get a red flag, or them saying they've already been submitted by another company, which is not a good thing. It's never a good thing. This just happened today to my coworker, actually. She submitted a candidate for a position, to a specific position with a client, And it turns out that job seeker had already been submitted by a different staffing firm.
Wow.
So what that client did was completely disqualify that job seeker. So again, it makes everyone look bad when you're double submitted. And I know there are a lot of recruiters out there, some recruiting companies, some not so great recruiters that might submit your resume without telling you the name of the company or even getting your salary requirements or any of the important information that they should actually be getting. You don't want to work with those types of recruiters. Or just make sure you tell them, please do not submit my resume to any company without letting me know the name.
Right.
So that's really important. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, and they make that mistake. Another one would be just keeping the recruiter informed about a change in your status, a change in your job status, a change in locations that you're considering, or your salary requirements. So for instance, if you're going to be on vacation out of the country for an extended period of time, let us know ahead of time, because that might affect your availability to interview with my client,
Right.
or it might affect, when you could actually start for a position. So again, these are things that are fine if you're changing your mind or changing things. Just keep us informed throughout the entire process. Same thing with if you get another position and you're no longer available, just let us know, keep us informed. It's pretty important. Again, pretty easy, but it's pretty. I guess another one would be being able to handle critiques. Just be open to our advice about your resume, like about resume presentation. If we say that the client's looking for this and you have that experience, but it's not necessarily stated in your resume, and we ask you to just make a few changes, just please listen to us and do it if it makes sense. Obviously, we're not going to tell you to put anything on your resume that you don't have experience with. But again, we have this experience with our client. We know what they're looking for. So we're trying to help you make the best impression to our client. So that's pretty important. Another one is not asking enough questions. I feel like a lot of job seekers might make the mistake of not asking the recruiter enough questions about the client or about the position. They should try to find out as much information as possible, because we, again, like I said, we work hand in hand and very closely with the client, so we know what their likes are, what their dislikes are. Sometimes, not all the times. When we do have that information, we should be, and we want to share that with you, so you, again, make the best impression before your interview with them. Moving on to that is, again, sometimes we don't have all the answers. So a lot of job seekers think that we just know exactly what the client wants, exactly what they need. And a lot of times we do, but it really depends on the relationship we have with the client. Sometimes the client won't give us a lot of information. Sometimes they don't even have a real job description, and we just base it off the notes that they have given us. Or sometimes they do have a job description, but it's the same job description they've been using for the last 15 years. So a lot of the information they have on that job description isn't really relevant. So again, we try to get as much information as we can from the client about the position and about the company, but sometimes we just don't have that information because we don't get it, or because it's a brand new client, so we haven't had a lot of experience with that client. So again, still ask your recruiter a lot of questions, but understand that we might not have all the answers. And lastly, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I know a lot of my coworkers too, is if I've been working with you for a while, a job seeker for a while, and I've submitted them to a lot of positions, had them interview, get to an offer stage with the client, present the offer to them. They don't want the offer. It's fine, but instead of calling me or letting me know, they just send a really quick email saying, sorry, not interested, took another job. And I'm glad they're informing me and getting back to me, but if I've, have this relationship, I would hope that they would at least call me and let me know, and have a conversation about why they're not accepting the position or why they're dropping out of the position.
Right.
Just common courtesy. I know a lot of people prefer to send a quick email when trying to deliver bad news because it's just easier that way. But again, common courtesy is a phone call. I don't like telling job seekers when they don't get the job, but I still make sure I give them a call and let them know over the phone versus just sending an email.
Now I hope at this point, my audience, their risk is hurting because you just gave a lot of valuable information, not only from the perspective of what a job seeker can do to make mistakes, but I don't know if you noticed it, you also opened up your world of recruiting to an actual, hopefully a job seeker that's looking at this session with regards to the trials and tribulations and some of the challenges that you endure when it comes to helping someone find a job. Like, for example, one of the biggest pieces that you talked about was, sometimes my clients don't even have a full job description, right? From anyone that's worked with a recruiter, once you present him or her with some sort of position, they look at the full package, but they may not have a full idea of the potholes that you have to go through to get to that full package so it looks presentable to the actual job seeker. They probably just think that you just snap your fingers and all the information shows up magically. So hopefully with my audience hearing that, it gives them a better perspective to say, okay, because even though you are in the business of helping people find jobs, their challenge is to even get to the point to actually present it to someone. And once again, and it's not I don't think it's a pet peeve when it comes to if you don't want a position, because it's all about understanding the why, right? If you've gone throughout this total process and you get to the goal line and they say that they don't want it, and you put in enough time and effort and energy to help support this person, you deserve a conversation. So because you need to understand why, because it's not to the point where you said you're never going to work with them again, but understanding that why will help you not go down the same process when it comes to that particular person, because you don't want to waste your time again. So hopefully the audience, looks at it from your perspective also, while saying, okay, here's some things that I need to stop doing when it comes to finding a job, which is great. That's why I'm hoping that they've been writing, because I've been taking mental notes, because it's stuff that now, based on what you're saying, I used to do. Now I understand the reason why the relationship with that recruiter didn't go as far as I wanted to, because it was my fault because I didn't do some of those things, right? Which makes sense. So now we have like I said, we have the best understanding of you. We know what some expectations are when it comes to a recruiter. We even now know some of the mistakes that people can make when it comes to working with a recruiter. Let's say, for the sake of my audience, if there's someone who's never worked with a recruiter before, but based off of you saying what some of the perks are and what some of the advantages are when it comes to working with a recruiter, what will be the first step a job seeker can make if they wanted to work with a recruiter?
I would say referral. If they have a friend or or former colleague or someone they know that's in a similar position, find out how they got that position. See if they work with a recruiter, and then if they have, get the contact details of the recruiter they work with. It's all about word of mouth with positions, with even with recruiters, finding a recruiter. So I would say that would be the first step. Second, I would probably just do some research on the specific recruiting firms that are that do the type of work, or that specialize in the type of work that you're looking for. For instance, my company, we focus on IT. We specialize in certain areas, analytics, Salesforce. So we might get an occasional marketing or financial accounting role every so often, but if you're not doing IT, then I would not recommend using my firm. So again, going online, looking at different companies, looking at different recruiting firms, and seeing what types of positions they might be posting. That way you'll know if they specialize in your area. Going on LinkedIn, doing research on companies on LinkedIn, looking to see who you have in common in terms of connections with recruiters at certain recruiting firms. I think that would just be the best way.
Great. And one of the things that I wanted to tell my audience is the story when I first met you. I mean, it was a good maybe 5-6 years ago. I mean, time flies so fast, but I met Sherita at a networking event. Very upbeat attitude, very hard worker. She knows what she's talking about. So if there's anyone, even though we're recording this in the Chicagoland area, I definitely want to pitch. If there's anyone who's looking at this video who specializes in IT, I would definitely recommend that you reach out to Sherita, because she will, put all of her blood, her sweat, and tears to help you find the right type of position. So I'll make sure that I have the company website information and their social media handles. So if they specifically, which I hope, if they are talented IT professionals that's looking for a job in the Chicagoland area, you will be the best person. I would definitely validate that she knows what she's talking about, and overall you're a very good person, right? Which is good when it comes to recruiting, because you have a lot of recruiters who you're a recruiter with a heart, because you understand people and you understand that you want to help, like you talked about before, right? Because we all know that there are some recruiting companies, not only in the Chicagoland area, but also, around the world. They just care about the placements and care about the numbers and the metrics. But you are the total opposite. You want to help people find jobs, because they can, once they find these jobs, they can ultimately take care of themselves and other people. That's why it's so important, guys, to have these conversations with these recruiters, so they know who you are and they know your somewhat of a full story. They need to know a little bit of your background, because they need to know, okay, if I'm looking for an IT job and I have 4 kids, I know for a fact that I'm not going to accept anything less than let's say $70,000 or $80,000, right? But the recruiters need to understand that, so they know, okay, I know Eric wouldn't take this because of X, Y, and Z. Let me move on to the next thing, as opposed to just looking at it like, okay, you have the degree, you have the skill sets, and try to shove it down your throat. But I say all that to say, guys, Sherita, thank you for your time, your expertise, your overall energy, and I hope that my audience now has a better understanding of some of the mistakes that they could be possibly making when it comes to working with a recruiter, and shifting that so they can start to develop a very good relationship with their recruiter or recruiter that they want to reach out to. So very, very valuable information. So I definitely appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, Eric.
Not a problem. Guys, thank you again for your time for this particular session, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.